Okay, I have a wonderful effect performed by Jason Ladanye. And this particular effect was created and published by Jim Steinmeier in 1993. And I can say without exaggeration, if a person is to learn just one card trick to take with them throughout their entire life, this is the one to learn. Now, Jason will show a bare bones version of this effect. If you want to see more elaborate presentations of this great card routine, take a look at the links in the description below. Also, take a look at Jason's original performance to hear his explanation of what he's doing. And if you want to see amazing sleight of hand card routines, then subscribe to Jason's channel, and I'll add that link below as well. But for this particular effect, no sleight of hand is needed. Okay, so for this we need 9 random cards. The spectator can choose these. Have them deal the cards into 3 piles of 3 cards each. Then have the spectator randomly choose any one of the 3 piles and take a look at the bottom card of that pile. Now Jason's going to show you that the bottom card of all 3 piles are actually different cards. Okay, so there's no trickery. So let's say the spectator chooses the middle pile. It's a 9 of diamonds is their card to remember. Put that set of 3 on top of one of the other sets of 3. Put the larger packet on top of the final set of 3. Now all he's going to do is spell out the name of the card. 9, N-I-N-E, drop the rest on top. O-F, drop the rest on top. D-I-A-M-O-N-D-S, drop the final card on top. And believe it or not, he knows exactly where your card is. It's in position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is the middle position for a packet of 9 cards. Now, the amazing thing is the spectator could have lied about the identity of their cards. So he's going to do it again, but not use the name of the card they saw, which is the 2 of clubs, but use some other random name. So he's going to stack them in the same way, but this time he's going to grab a random card and use that name instead. So I think it comes out to be the Jack of clubs. J-A-C-K, drop the rest on top. O-F, drop the rest on top. C-L-U-B-S, drop the rest on top. And their card, the 2 of clubs, is still in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th position, the middle position of that packet of 9. And it doesn't matter what card name you spell, you will find their card every single time, guaranteed. So I encourage you to take a look at Jason's original performance, as well as a list of routines on my channel using this card principle in really fun and creative ways. Now, one idea I thought I would give you before we close is instead of just showing that their card is in the middle position, the 5th position, you can do some fun spelling. Okay, so what I've done here is I've just grabbed 9 cards, but I've selected a red card to represent our 2 of clubs. That's after the spelling routine. So instead of just showing the spectator that it's 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th from the top, what you can do instead is do something like spell out magic, M-A-G-I-C, and reveal it that way. Or if you turn it into a lie detection trick, you could spell truth, T-R-U-T-H, and reveal it that way. And another great way to reveal it is to use the Klondike shuffle. So you could spell magic or truth and just take the top and bottom cards off as one. So for magic, we go M-A-G-I-C, and you'll reveal their card every single time. Okay, well, thank you for watching, and access the links in the description below and take a look at other videos on the Absolute Math Magic channel. Okay, here is another wonderful Jason Ladanye video that I wanted to look at. It's a great one because it uses two powerful principles. So he has two packets of 15 cards, and then spectators are free to cut any number of cards off of each. Now he's going to set the king face up on one and the queen face down. Now instead of stacking the piles back where they came from, he switches them. And this is called the free cut principle, and then he randomly stacks those, okay? Now this packet can be freely cut as many times as you like, and it won't upset anything that he hopes to accomplish. Now what he's going to do is he's going to deal the cards left, right, and keep the pile with the up-facing king of hearts, okay? Now from that point, it's using something called the 2 to the n minus 1 principle. Now for the free cut and this 2 to the n minus 1 principle, I'll have videos linked in the description below that will teach you about these ideas because they're very useful in many, many card effects. So you just discard the pile that did not have the up-facing king. You deal out the cards again, keeping the pile with the king in it. There it is. I think he has a couple more dealings. Okay, get rid of the pile without the king. And then one final dealing, I believe. There we go. And as you might imagine, the queen is guaranteed to be there with the king. Now, because of the free cut principle, since he started with 15 down-facing cards in each pile, and then he set the king on one pile and then the queen face down on the other, despite the fact that you cut off those random packets and then switched how you stack them, the king and queen are guaranteed to have exactly 15 cards between them. Now 15 is a very important number, and that brings us to the 2 to the n minus 1 principle. Okay, so let's talk about this here. Okay, so first off, 2 to the n minus 1, that's just referring to a power of 2 minus 1. So for example, when n is 1, it's 2 to the first minus 1, which is just 1. N is 2, you get 2 squared minus 1, which is 3, and so forth, all the way up to 2 to the fourth, for this presentation, minus 1 is 15. Okay? So the numbers of importance in this presentation are 15, 7, 3, and 1. Now, relative to the LR deal, these are all related. Because if you begin with two cards, let's say the king and queen, and there's 2 to the n minus 1 cards between them, after just one left-right dealing into two piles, the king and queen will end up in the same pile. Now, one thing that Jason didn't do, which you could do, in fact, maybe I'll just quickly illustrate it here. So let me just step through this because there's more that you can do as a convincer than Jason did. Now, he maybe was trying to keep the video from being too long, which is fine. So you start with 15 cards in each. You can cut any numbers of cards. And if you remember, he had a king face up and then a queen face down. But maybe we'll leave the queen face up so that we can see what we're doing. If you take these and then you switch where they go, that's where we're using the free cut principle. And then if you randomly stack these, it's guaranteed to be the case that there's exactly 15 cards between the king and the queen going around corners. What does that mean? The king is here. So if we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. There will be 15 cards to kind of wrap around to the queen, and of course 15 cards in here. Okay? Now he did show that you can actually randomly cut this. Perhaps more convincing is to use the Chardelier shuffle, actually. So I can add a link in the description below to the Chardelier shuffle because it's just so messy. And then you could follow that up with a random cut by the spectator. That would probably be a good idea. And then if you just deal them out, and we're going to keep the pile with the king in it. Now, normally the queen is face down, right? I mean, that's all part of the mystery. The queen is face down, but if you can see, she has landed in the same pile as the king, right? Now, the claim is by this 2 to the n minus 1 principle, there will now be 7 cards between them going around corners. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you get to the king, and then there's 7 cards here, okay? So that's also a power of 2 minus 1. Now, what he didn't do, which you could do, is you can actually randomly cut at each stage, okay? So between the dealings, you can perform as many Charlier shuffles, which are highly convincing because they're so messy, or just have the spectator randomly cut it like that, and then continue on. We're looking for the up-facing king in the actual performance because the queen would have been face down. Okay, so there's the king, and as we saw, the queen's right there. But look at how many cards are between them. 1, 2, 3, that's a power of 2 minus 1. And then going around corners, we have 3 as well. Okay, and this can even be cut randomly or Charlier shuffled. Okay, so if the spectator get in there and randomly cut it, that's great. And then just do a left, right again, keeping your eye on the king. That's really what you're watching. Okay, and then if you notice, there's only 1 card between them going around corners, right? So you could even have the spectator, remember this would be face down normally, right? Spectator can cut as many of these as they like, okay? And then go into the final dealing and then reveal that the king has found her queen. Okay, very good. Though this is a simple effect, it actually is drawing on some very powerful mathematical principles in card magic. So thank you for watching, and take a look at the videos linked in the description below, as well as watch Jason's original video. And beyond that, I also encourage you to take a look at other videos on the Absolute Math Magic channel. Okay, here is another card presentation by Jason Ladanye that I was hoping to talk about for just a few minutes. So I'll add a link in the description below to his original performance here and encourage you to watch it, as well as a link to a video in which I explain this amazing mathematical card effect in great detail and show how this effect will actually always work for you. And I'll do it by using some special mathematical notation invented by Norman Gilbreath. Okay, so let me just play a portion of Jason's video here. So he's divided the deck exactly in half, 2 packets of 26 cards. Now he has the spectator freely cut off any number of cards from one of those halves, okay? And to set it aside, he takes the other pile of 26 and freely mixes it. From that pile of 26, he's going to have the spectator randomly choose a card. Okay, this is a free choice. So it looks like the spectator is going to randomly choose the 3 of diamonds. He sets that on the table and then sets the remainder of that packet of 26 on top. So the spectator's card is at the bottom of that pile of 26. And then he sets that pile of 26 on top of the uncut cards. At this point, he's going to perform what's called a Klondike shuffle. And a Klondike shuffle is where you take the top and bottom cards off as one, okay? So you just draw them off as pairs, just like that. And he jokes that this is the most exciting part of the presentation, which of course is a joke because it's a bit tedious that you have to do it for the whole deck. Now in the example I'll show you, instead of using 2 piles of 26, we'll use 2 piles of 6 cards. Okay, so you can more readily see what's going on. Okay, so he Klondike shuffled that portion of the deck. Now he's just showing for the first time how many cards the spectator freely cut, and I believe it's 12 cards, and that was a free cut. Okay, that was really random. And now he's going to count to the 12th card. So the 12th card down ends up being the spectator's card. The number of cards cut exactly takes you to the position of the spectator's freely chosen card. Absolutely amazing. Now, in my opinion, this is one of the greatest and most impressive mathematical card tricks ever invented. It really is that good. Here I have 2 piles of 6 cards each instead of 26 in each. Okay, that will help us see what's going on. So what we do first is you just have the spectator point to either pile. It is a free choice. So let's say they point to this one. You have them cut any number of cards whatsoever. That's a free choice there. Any number of cards from one of the piles. Now you turn to the other pile that hasn't been touched yet. And that pile can be freely mixed by the spectator however they like, riffle shuffled or whatever. Here it's just 6 cards, so it's not too hard to mix it. And then you have the spectator randomly choose a card, any card in here. So maybe they choose that one. So Queen of Diamonds. Now if you remember, he set that at the bottom, these go on top. But I thought we would have it face up so that we can see what's going on a little bit better. Okay, and then if you remember, this goes on top of the uncut cards, just like that. Okay, and then from there, you just do the Klondike shuffle. So this is where you take the top and bottom off as 1, set those down like that. And spectator's card's going to be coming up here soon. There it is. Okay, and then what happened in the finale there is the number of randomly chosen cut cards here, which is 3, agreed exactly with the position of the spectator's card from the top. And we can see that to be the case here. 1, 2, 3 will take you right to the spectator's card. Okay, and then in the video that I'm linking down below, I actually give you a full mathematical proof as to why this works, and this is Norman Gilbreath's notation in action. Okay, so if you want to take a look at that, I'll explain exactly what all of this means, and it proves that this routine is guaranteed to work no matter how many cards are cut from that pile of 26 cards. Doesn't matter how many are cut, that number of cards will in fact locate where the spectator's card will be after the steps shown here in the video and the Klondike shuffle has been performed. So take a look at that video if you're interested in understanding the mathematics behind it, and perhaps more importantly, to learn the basics of Gilbreath's notation, because once you have that under your belt, you can actually design countless card effects. So thank you for watching, and take a look at other videos on the Absolute Math Magic channel. Okay, here is another wonderful mathematical card effect by Jason Ladanye. Now for this, you need the spectator to choose 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8 random cards. It is a free choice. Now Jason here chooses 5, or assumes the spectator says 5, which is fine. So at this point, you mix the cards as much as you want. When you're done mixing, show the spectator the bottom card. That's their card to remember, okay? So the bottom card, I think, was the Jack of Spades. Now he's going to simply spell magician by moving 1 card to the bottom for each letter in the word magician. And then after that, he's going to perform the down, under, down, under, down, under, down. Last card is the spectator's card. It is guaranteed to work no matter how many cards the spectator chooses between 4 and 8. Absolutely amazing. And Jason openly admits he has no idea how this works. So that's what we're going to quickly look at today. So a little bit of vocabulary. The lone survivor refers to that last card that survives this down, under, down, under. So we're going to view the cards set on the table as down as eliminated. Those are gone. And then the final card in your hand is the lone survivor. So for a packet of 4 cards, how would that work? Well, I'm going to use pennies here to cover up the cards. So this is the top card, second, third, all the way down to the bottom card of each of these different size packets. So the first card is always set down to the table. In other words, it's eliminated. So what I thought I would do is just put a penny over it to notate that it's gone. Okay, so we still have in our hand cards 2, 3, and 4. But card 2 gets moved to the bottom, of course, and then that leaves card 3 to go down or be eliminated. Okay, now an important idea here is when these cards are moved to the bottom one at a time, they retain their order. So like, for example, if you were to just move 3 cards under one at a time, which we don't do here, but if you were to do that, the 1 would come here, the 2 would go below the 1, the 3 would go below the 2. So they maintain their relative order. So that's kind of helpful to be aware of. Okay, so after the third card is eliminated, the next card, remember we skipped this one, the next card to be eliminated will be the 2. Okay, so that will go out third. So what that will do is leave card number 4 as the lone survivor. Okay, so let's look at what happens for a packet of 5 cards, which is how many Jason had. First card gets eliminated, it's gone. The third card, in fact, an easy way to kind of get through this quickly is just imagine all of the odd position cards get eliminated first, okay? And then you reassess where you are. Since we eliminated this card, card number 2 goes under, it survives, and then the card after that is card number 4, and it's eliminated, it's gone. Okay, so for 6 cards, cards 1, 3, 5 are eliminated in the first go through of that packet. We quote skip this one, or 6 survives. So 2 gets eliminated, okay? And we always skip the one after the one eliminated, so the 4 survives. The one after that is the 6, and it gets set down, and it is eliminated. Finally, well, not finally, but getting close here, 1. So for a packet of 7 cards, it's 1, 3, 5, 7. And then just look at cards 2, 4, 6 as their own packet, right? And since this last one was eliminated, 2 survives. And then the card after that is now 4 because the other ones are gone. The one after 4, which has been eliminated, is 6, so it survives. But the one after the card that survives is 2, so it gets eliminated. And then finally, for a packet of 8 cards, it's 1, 3, 5, 7, all gone. So 8 survives, 2 gets eliminated, 4 survives, 6 gets eliminated, 8 survives, and then 4 gets eliminated. So the very ones that I've circled here are the lone survivors, 4, 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, so that's the first half of understanding what's going on here. So this simply tells us which cards will survive the down under. Now, why did he spell magician? Why did that guarantee that the bottom card would be the one that survives? Okay, so that's where that magical spelling out of magician takes care of that problem for us. And by the way, at the bottom of the sheet here, I have a general formula for finding the lone survivor for the down under deal. Okay, so if you want to read that, if you have some mathematics under your belt, this actually will give you the algorithm for figuring out what position the lone survivor will be in. Okay, so let's go on to the final explanation. Okay, so it's the same diagram essentially. I have circled in green the lone survivors, right, from the previous sheet. And then I've simply put a red box around the bottom cards because that's the card you actually show the spectator. Okay, so why would this moving the top card to the bottom 8 times to spell magician guarantee that the bottom card is now going to be in the lone survivor position and be the one that remains at the very end? Let's go ahead and look at a packet of 5 cards, which is what Jason did. The other ones are similar, actually. Okay, so he had 5 cards. He showed the bottom card, and then he, quote, spelled out magician that has 8 letters in its name. So if you move the top card to the bottom 8 times, where is that going to land you? Well, maybe before we answer that, How far away is the current bottom card from the lone survivor position? How many steps away is it? Well, it's 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 3 positions away from the lone survivor position. Okay, so what is going to happen if we actually move the top card to the bottom 8 times? Well, you're going to go through all of the cards once, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so you'll get that same ordering back again, as I mentioned just a few minutes ago. So once we move through 5 of them, it's like you haven't done anything. But now you're going to move an additional 3 cards, right? 5 plus 3 is the 8. So now we're going to move this one, and this one to the bottom. So it's like we have 1, 2, 3. And so that would move to the top the 4th card and the original bottom card. What does that mean? That means the original bottom card is now 1, 2 second from the top after spelling magician, which is where we need it to be the lone survivor. And that kind of thing happens with all of these. This one here is kind of curious because if you move the top card to the bottom 8 times, you just go through the whole packet twice, restoring the cards to their original order. But the fact is the bottom card already, as we saw on the previous page, is the lone survivor. Same thing here for 8. Okay, so that's the secret. Moving the top card to the bottom 8 times in all of the cases for 4 to 8 cards will position the original bottom card in the lone survivor position. So it is guaranteed to be the one at the end of the down under deal. Okay, so that's the secret behind it. I do want to point out that I have a video that's called Great Job Einstein. This phrase has 16 letters in it. And so the video there, instead of allowing 4 to 8 cards, I allow between 8 and 16 cards. And then we spell this phrase by moving each card to the bottom. And then the original bottom card will now be in the lone survivor position for the down under deal. So this video here, I'll link in the description below, but it just ramps up the number of cards that can be used for this very surprising, seemingly impossible effect, given that the spectator is free to choose from a range of card values, yet in each case, performing the exact same procedure finishes with their card as the lone survivor. So thank you for watching, and I encourage you to take a look at other videos on the Absolute Math Magic channel. Okay, this is one of the best mathematical card routines ever invented. And here on the left-hand side of the screen, we have Jason Ladanye who's performing it. So for this, you need a full deck of 52 playing cards. And what you do to begin is you deal out a 4x4 rectangular grid of face-up cards. So all of the cards will be dealt face up. Now, as far as names go, we call these rows going down. So this is row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, okay? And then we have column 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? Once this 4x4 grid is created, so imagine right now, I've put in the numbers filled in. But really, to represent what Jason has right there, we really should have just a 1 in each of these spots. That's where we're starting, okay? So we have a total of 16 cards out. Now he's going to be adding to the rows and or columns, and he's adding to them in a completely random way. Or in other words, you can have the spectator tell you, okay, add more cards to the top row or the bottom row or the rightmost column or what have you, okay? So Jason's not keeping track of how many cards are being deposited on any one pile of these 16 piles. You don't need to keep track of any of the numbers. The mathematics will actually do it for you, as I'll show you. And then off to the side, I have the row and column information for where he decided to randomly deal cards. So I think he's going to deal cards to row 3 first. Okay, so I'll go ahead and just play his video. Now I do have him on half speed, and that's for the simple reason that he works so quickly that it's hard to explain what's going on at his natural speed because he's so fast. Okay, so he's dealing out cards into row 3, and now he's going to deal out cards into column 3. So right here. And then he's going to deal out cards again into column 3, which is fine. And now he's going to go on to row 4, which is right in front of him. Okay, so Jason's right here. I guess I should point that out, right? Jason's right here. And now he's going to go to, oh, he's pointing out that there will be different numbers of cards in these piles at the end. It really is just kind of a random process, and that's true. Okay, now he deals cards into row 3. And then into column 3 yet again, and then row 1 way up here, and then row 3 again. He really likes row 3 for some reason, and then row 4 at the very bottom. And the final card is the ace of clubs, as you can see. Okay, so if a person goes through and just adds 1 to each row every time that row is dealt to, or add 1 to each of the values in the column that has been dealt to, you'll get these numbers right here. So 2252 and so forth. Okay? Now the secret that makes all of this work has to actually do with the diagonal elements, as we'll talk about in just a moment. Okay? So now what he is going to do, or going to explain to the spectator, is we're free to choose any starting place. Okay? Now he decides to go with this rightmost bottom pile, which has the ace of clubs on it. Okay, and that's just because the ace of clubs he thinks will be an easy one for all of us to remember. But you can randomly choose any positions, or 16 of these piles. Okay, so this is where we're going to focus our attention, right there. And so the elimination process works as follows. Since the pile we want is this one right here, what we do, all of the cards in the column above that pile, all those cards will be stacked on top of the 3 cards here. And then the same thing for the cards in the row down here, row 4. All of these cards will be combined and set on top of that original packet of 3, which had the ace of clubs at the top of that packet of 3, right? And then you just move that larger pile now to any position, and you do the same thing. You essentially eliminate the row and the column on which you've set the new packet. Okay, so let's play that and you'll see that in action here. Okay, and so we just need to remember that one card. Ace of clubs is our special card to remember. Okay, so he's going to take that entire column of cards above the ace of clubs, stack it on top of the ace of clubs, and then he's going to go to the row the ace of clubs is on, gather those cards, set them on top. Okay? Now, he can freely stack this larger packet now on top of any of the 9 remaining piles. There is a random choice, and you'll be able to finish in the same way that he will. So he just chooses to put it right there. Okay? Now, you just look at the column and the row on which that pile lies. Okay? So he's going to take the cards in that column, stack them on top, and then take the piles on that row and stack them. And there are only single cards there in terms of that's how they were dealt out, which is okay. Okay, and then he sets that on top of one of the remaining piles, gets rid of the cards in that column and in that row by stacking them on top. And then there's one final pile on which to put the larger pile. So he just drops it on top. And then he flips the packet over. Now he's really pleased to announce the finale for this routine for the simple reason that his name, Jason Ladanye, just happens to have 12 letters in his first and last name, which is exactly the number of cards we need to remove from the top of the deck to arrive at our noted card, the ace of clubs. Okay, so I don't know if someone pointed this out to him. You know, your first and last name have exactly 12 letters, which is what's needed for this famous, really cool mathematical card trick. Okay, so that was just serendipity. Now, as I'll point out right here, all you really need to do is choose any word or phrase. So when you go to perform this, choose any word or phrase that has a total of 12 letters, and you'll be able to finish in the way that he does. Okay, so something like amazing magic, 12 letters, or the phrase card trick fun has 12 letters. Or if you can think of other words or phrases that you would like to use that would personalize this routine when you go to perform it. So you just need something with 12 letters total. Okay, so I'll go ahead and hit play. So he said the exciting part for this routine is to actually spell his name. So J, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and the next card is the card that we noted at the very beginning, the ace of clubs. And he doesn't even have to look at it because he knows it's going to work. Okay, so really cool effect, incredibly surprising. Okay, so hopefully you kind of understand the procedure for it. Now this grid here actually shows the total number of cards in each pile after all 52 cards are dealt to the grid. Okay. Now the key insight for understanding why it's 12 cards that will get you to the noted card at the beginning. In other words, the noted card will be the 13th card from the top. So once you've gone through this whole procedure, you flip the deck down, that ace of clubs is the 13th card from the top. So if you remove 12 cards, you'll then reveal the ace of clubs. Okay? So to understand what's going on, what's driving this actually is this insight right here. And I don't want to go much beyond this huge hint as to why this works so that the video doesn't become longer than it would be otherwise. Okay, so here's the grand secret for unraveling what is making this work. Why does this work? So the fact is, all of the information regarding the number of cards dealt to either the rows or the columns is recorded on the diagonals, on each of them actually. And they're recorded in different ways, as you'll see. Okay, so what I'm saying then is the important information are these values along the diagonal. So if we add these from left to right, we get 13. Or if you add from right to left, you also get 13. Those will always agree. And that actually is the number of cards that will be placed below the ace of clubs as long as you also count the ace of clubs as one of those cards. So in that elimination stacking procedure, you're guaranteed that there'll be 13 cards, which includes the ace of clubs, at the bottom, on which you'll be stacking all of these larger numbers of cards before you turn the deck face down. Okay, so really the information in the diagonals is the key to deciphering how many cards will be below your noted card, with the proviso that the noted card is included in the count. So that's where we get 13 instead of 12, because we're including the ace of clubs in the result we get when we add the diagonal values. Okay, well, I appreciate you watching, and hopefully I piqued your curiosity and encourage you to try this out for yourself. So thank you for watching, and take a look at other videos on the Absolute Math Magic channel. Okay, I wanted to quickly talk about a card effect by Jason Ladanye. Now, many of his card effects are pure sleight of hand, but every once in a while he actually shows his viewers a card trick that they can genuinely perform without needing any sleight of hand. And this is one of the rare exceptions here. So he's using the Hummer principle. Now, I'll add a link in the description below, not only to his original performance, and I encourage you to take a look at it because it's very well done. But also I'll add a link to an entire playlist that talks about the underlying principle for this effect that can be used in countless ways in card magic. And I have many, many examples of applications of it, as well as detailed explanations of what is going on with the Hummer principle. Okay, so this is a famous foundational principle in mathematical card magic. Okay, so I'll play some of his video here and then do an explanation of the steps along the way. Okay, so he has the 4 aces, and now he has 12 cards, so he's just confirming that. Now you just need an even number of cards. You don't need 12. Any even number will do. And then what he does is he deals out 3 on each. And it's making it look like it's a setup for a very different effect, okay, where you have to have them equally spaced. Well, that's a total red herring because you don't. So these cards can be mixed thoroughly. They truly, truly can, okay? Now, for those who understand the Hummer principle or would like to, on my channel, I teach that if you have a situation like this where some cards are face up and others are face down, and at the end you want these aces facing the same way, a way to lock that in is to flip over every other card. Now, what he's going to do is equivalent to this. He's going to deal down half the cards, which is 8, and then he's going to flip that half and then alternately interlace them. Okay, so it's going to have the same effect as just flipping over every other card. Sorry, I'm going off the screen there. Okay, so this is the way to protect a packet for which you want certain cards facing one direction. You flip over every other card. Okay, now this kind of organization is now, quote, impervious to what's called the Hummer shuffle. Okay, and the Hummer shuffle, which he doesn't really use here because he's keeping his video short. In fact, he'll go immediately to the reveal here in a second. But with the Hummer shuffle, you're allowed to randomly cut and then flip any even number of cards. So maybe flip 2 cards, random cut, flip 4, random cut, and so forth. You can even do a table Hummer shuffle. This is where you push off even piles of cards. It can be 2, 4, 6, 8, whatever you like. And then you're actually free to randomly stack and or flip these, which is crazy. So this is a Hummer shuffle, what I've just shown you. And so I explained this all in detail. And it just makes what appears to be a greater mess of the cards here, okay? But there's a hidden structure here. And that structure is going to be revealed when we do anything equivalent to flipping over every other card a second time. Okay, so we could do that by me just dealing down, like down, flip, down, flip, down, flip with these cards. And you'll find that all of the aces are facing one way. Another great way to do it is to just deal them out into 4. So since we have 16 cards here, deal it out into 4 piles of 4 cards each, which is what he does. So I'll go ahead and play the video there. So you can deal them from left to right, right to left, into 4 piles of 4 cards each. Now he gives the spectator the option to fold the packets from left to right or right to left, like you're folding the pages of a book. Well, you can not only do that, but you can also take the inside, fold them outward, or the outside and fold them inward. Now he just did like a right to left fold. Okay, so we could go like that, and then flip either one of these like that. And what's going to happen is all of the aces are going to be facing the same way yet again. Okay, so the Hummer principle is a powerful principle. It is one you can use right away, and he shows you a very slick, simple application of it that really anyone can do without understanding the principle itself. Okay, but if you understand the principle, then you can start to build your own routines and come up with variations that no one has seen before that are just mind-blowing. Okay, so this is a great example of the Hummer principle in action, and I encourage you to watch his video as well as take a look at the playlist in which I explain the Hummer principle and give many applications of this powerful principle by Bob Hummer. So thank you for watching, and take a look at other videos on the Absolute Math Magic channel.